I've definitely been talking with a few of Karl's buddy over the last week or two about a lot of things, and I will tell you, if you know, people have to realize that in the last 15 years, I've been around for every concept that's come up, every concept that people have tried in law and developed and tried in court. We've tried everything. We've done everything. And I've won using every one of these arguments before in the past. There's no shortage of different theories out there. And what's really interesting is a lot of stuff that I was teaching and talking about years ago to do with the trust stuff and equity. Every single aspect of the stuff that we were teaching years ago with the trust law and the equity is completely convertible to what the stuff that Karl's doing. It's just a much more simplified version of it. It's a one page reduced to less than one sentence to keep it simple, 2 syllables or less, and you're not getting into that the legalese stuff with them. I mean, we became great at mimicking what they were doing, and just being a monkey and throwing the stuff right back at them, right, and just getting these poo-flinging contests that messed everything up, and everything would disappear, and they didn't, you know, it's just, boy, like I say, it's, but all the concepts are the same. All the concepts of law are exactly the same. That's all equity and legalese is anyways, is they made the law very, very complicated. They made their own very complex, complicated version of the law that's only for them within their system, so only they can understand it. That's what Babel is, right? That's what confounding the language is, just taking something simple, making it exceedingly difficult so that everybody thinks that you're some kind of a god, calling yourself a lawyer, and then convincing everybody that they have to use you when they go to court because it's something so complicated they possibly couldn't understand it, when really it's just a couple of words you need to know if you really knew the proper words to use, who you are, what your rights are, and just not being able to be bullshitted by the courts. That's bottom line what this all comes down to as well, is do you even believe in what you're doing? Do you believe it? Are you going to stand by it, or are you going to fold? And if you even start to fold, like, I mean, they stare right at you, these judges' law. They stare right at you when you're talking. And even when you're sitting there and you're listening to other people in the courtroom talk, they're watching your face. They're looking to see what, like, does this guy believe? Is he confident? Is he, like, does this guy look like he's about to bolt out of the door in fear? Like, they can smell fear, just like a dog. And the minute you show any fear, or that you don't really believe in what you're doing, or you're about to fold, they will pressure you until you fold. And as soon as you fold and snap and you start believing their bullshit, it's done. It's over. You're finished.
I think that's what we mean when we say you got to know who you are before you go in there. Did you have a question for Karl? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've been kind of listening off and on tonight. I'm not sure what I have in the way of questions. I'm not really sure where they've, again, like, I mean, I was in jail for 16 months, and when I don't even think, I know I'd heard of Karl. I can't remember if we even spoke once or twice before I went into jail. Like I say, 16 months in jail kind of messes with your mind a little bit, and I can't even remember half the people I spoke with beforehand. It was a little bit of a blur before I went to jail. But I read some of his stuff while I was in jail, and I just basically said to everybody, yeah, this guy is saying exactly what we have been trying to say, using equitable terms, but he's saying it in just real simple, no bullshit, one sentence lines. No, property, give it back. Property, give it back. Property, give it back. Property, give it back. And just keep saying that and repeating it over and over and over again. And don't believe these pieces of shit in the courtroom, anything that they try to sell you. And when they figure out that that's, and again, we did a lot of research on the law merchant court stuff, and when everybody was saying, I got a couple of pages sent to me of some of Karl's stuff while I was in jail, and it had little captions in there about repeat 3 times, repeat 3 times, repeat 3 times. I started laughing. I said, well, of course, that's just law merchant court stuff. In the law merchant court, when you say something once, it's construed as a mistake. When you say it the second time, it's deemed a coincidence. So they just write it off. But when you say something a third time, that's a pattern. That means you really meant it. That's the magic number 3 in the law merchant's court. That's all that is. And so I was like, yeah, it's exactly why it's working. As soon as you express your will 3 times, you mean it. Whether it's a law merchant court, a common law court, it doesn't matter. That's your will. And when you're saying property, that's my property, now you're saying I'm the owner. When you're the owner, your will is the law. It's the will of the owner. That's who makes the law regarding property. So when you walk into a court and you say, I have done no wrong, there's no man or woman here making a claim against me, so I've done no wrong, you got the common law angle covered, and that's my property. So in equity, you're saying, I make the laws when it comes to that property. Nobody has a higher equitable standing than me. So, because in most of these courts, especially international law, law merchant courts, it really doesn't matter. Equity always trumps the common law. There's only very few circumstances where common law trumps equity. So equity is always the top. So you got that covered when you walk in, you say, no, that's my property, and I've done no wrong. So you're saying, no, I own all the equity, and I've done no wrong in common law. Who could I possibly have to answer to? And you wrap everything right up. And now apparently people are doing it in 1 or 2 sentences, where we used to do that with 20 or 30-page documents, which was just, oh my God, I don't ever want to have to do that shit ever again. I'm so fucking tired of it. It's just sickening to think about it.
So after you win your case tomorrow, you can come back and fill us in. I'll schedule you on as a guest speaker, and you can give us all the lowdown.
Remember, we're dealing with murderers and rapists here, so you could be as right as rain, but if you're too popular and they just want you gone, they'll just rape you for 16 months and throw you away no matter what, just to teach you a lesson, right? Like Bill Turner there, Slobodan Milosevic, they didn't like that guy a whole lot. Watch that guy's trial at The Hague. That guy, Milosevic, destroyed the court. They didn't know what the hell to do with the guy, so they kept him in jail for 6 months, and then they killed him in jail to shut him up. He destroyed that court. Unbelievable watching that guy in court. That guy knew what he was doing. That guy knew what it meant to be an elected leader of a society, of a nation, and that no court had any authority over him whatsoever, period. It's amazing watching that trial. So they killed the fucker.
Yeah.
Dean, it's Carl's calling. He's available. So if you have any questions for him, ask him some questions if you want anything, any feedback from him.
Yeah, definitely. Oh boy, let's see. What is a good question? It'd be good for everybody and myself.
Maybe allocution.
Yeah, you know what? Allocution is not terribly applicable in Canada. I mean, I know a little bit about allocution, and it's mostly an American thing that's not really practiced in Canada a whole lot. They might have a different word for it. It seems mostly just like it's the closing arguments to any case, though. So allocution, sure.
It's what you say before.
We can talk about that, but I'd like to know what most people have got back to him with, what the biggest problem or headache has been, or the most unsuccessful parts that he's been teaching with people that people are having the most trouble with in the courts, either in Canada or the United States.
Okay, well, like I said, the big thing is this equity. If you actually study equity, I'll literally read it out of a book right now. It's a name of a court exercising jurisdiction at law, but mainly in equity. Common law judges consider equity arbitrary and a royal encroachment on the power of an independent judiciary. Okay? It says, renowned 17th century judge John Sheldon called equity a roguish thing and noted that results in equity cases might as well depend on the size of the chancellor's foot. Okay, equity is just an interpretation of a man over another man. And I don't want to live based upon somebody else's opinion, what somebody else believes, what is fair and what is just. I'll tell you what is fair and what is just, and you will bring another man into this room, and you will have the other man say that what I'm doing is not fair and it's not just to him. I don't care what society's opinion is, and I certainly don't care what a legal judge's opinion is if what I'm doing is fair or just. I don't care. I'm going to call you out man to man. I want to know some man who's saying that what I'm doing is not fair, that I breached an agreement, I'm breaching a contract. Show me. So, like I said, equity makes things too complicated. It's when everybody says, well, look, Bob, got it this way, and Joe, we did it this way for Joe, so why don't we do it that way for you too? It's only fair. Let's make it all equal. I don't believe in equality. I like not being equal. I don't want everything to be, like a code world. Like everything's like, well, you know what? We got to make it fair and equal for everybody. Everybody gets this. No, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer. I'm going to work better. I'm going to work smarter. I'm going to get more than you. I'm going to capitalize. I'm going to take advantage of your shortcomings. And that's what capitalize means. Take advantage of someone else. If you want to sleep and I want to work, why shouldn't I have more than you? Don't say, well, that's not fair. Everybody should be equitable. No, that's a socialist society. I live in a capitalist society. I don't live in Canada. I don't live in England. I don't live in a socialist society. I don't believe in equity. I believe in, the common law of my people, that if we work harder, longer, faster, and better, we make more than you do. So that's just my opinion on equity. And like I said, what I do is when I go into court, I don't know if you have a jury, but because you got a jury, I hope you don't. I hope you just go in front of a judge.
They tried to give me a jury. I waived my right to a jury because I said, no. I want that guy to be liable for whatever happens to me. I don't want to have to go after a jury of retards. That guy right there is going to be liable for whatever happens to me. So I put all the liability on the judge.
Well, it's not so much that he's liable for what happens to you. It's that he could be held liable for not maintaining the court. Now, do you have your court going, or are you just operating in their court?
That is a very good question. I don't even know.
Okay, well, with Bali in England, I put an 8-word claim, a suit, that the prosecutor, that the Crown, was making a trespass on it was a breach of enclosement. So they were making a trespass. So I filed this little simple claim that they were committing a trespass, and especially since you had guns and drugs or whatever else you had, they made a trespass. They have your property, and not only do you believe they have your property, the Crown believes it's your property because the Crown's case is your only exhibit that you need. Because they itemized and said every single thing that is Dean Clifford's. That's right. You know what? Not only do I don't have to prove that that's my property, the Crown is swearing on a stack of Bibles that that's my property. So thank you, Crown, for having all these officers come in and itemize my property that you are now in possession of. You have to give it back. It's that simple. Like I said, that's why I tell everybody, go listen to Mr. Daly and Birds of Prey. When that man went in, fine, you know what, I'm guilty. You know what? See, your style is a lot different than mine because I just walk in and say, guilty? I owe you a debt? Maybe I do. If you believe I owe you a debt, okay, you know the problem is you've never sent me the bill. You've never showed me where I've done you wrong, that I haven't paid on something that is owed, that is true, or that is due. So, where's the bill? Where's the bill of particulars? Where is it? Then, if you hand it, like I said before earlier, guilt, the word guilt in German means debt. So they say, you believe that you're guilty or not guilty. Am I guilty? I'm sure I am. I'm sure I owe a debt. To who? I don't know. Nobody's presented me a bill yet. But if I'm guilty, fine. If you believe I owe you something, fine. Just send me the bill so I can settle the debt. Has anybody sent me a bill? No. Is any man going to come forth before this court and swear that the bill is true, that it's due and is now owed? No. Okay, well then obviously there's no debt. Obviously there's no guilt. There you go. It's so simple, it's scary. That's what the man did.
Well,
the man did in Indiana.
Who's got a last 2 days with a friend that's doing the 3-way here tonight, and that's years ago when we used to walk into court, and I used to say produce a claim for which relief can be granted. It's the same thing. I don't give a fine. You say I do this, okay? I don't give a shit. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What's the claim? Produce
a claim in which relief could be granted. The only problem is that you're still acting as a legal person. You're acting as a defendant. You are not acting as a man moving your own claim in that courthouse, in that courtroom, at the same time that they're moving their complaint. You are not moving a claim. You are not going to be heard.
So, Karl, the most important thing he could do would be file a claim tomorrow morning for property.
Okay, like I said, what happened in England when the Crown prosecutor, when the case was over, like I said, when the judge was reading the ruling, he went on for about 40 minutes saying, count 1, harassment, guilty as charged. On Bob versus Crown, 1979, Susie versus Crown, 1992, Crown versus Bill, 2011. Count 2, stalking, guilty as charged. And he went out and read the rulings, and the prosecutor and the clerks on the prosecutor side, on the Crown side, had their pens and pencils flying. taking down all these judges' citations and all his case rulings that he was relying upon. So that way, if anybody got charged, like with the people I helped, they were charged with terrorism, stalking, communicating threats, putting forged commercial paper into the public from the trust. They were all found guilty on all the charges, all the Crown's charges. And then when the judge said, now, for the claim before this court, for the common law side, this has been the most idiotic, and I was like, oh, we're going home. They called you a bunch of idiots, we're going home. I said, because you have no clue of what's going on the legal side, on the Crown side. He says the case is discharged in its entirety. So what was funny is the Crown prosecutor at the end came to me and said, what the hell just happened here? I said, oh, you didn't notice that little eight-word claim I put in the court this morning? He just looked at me. I said, yeah, you think it's silly. You thought it was cute. You thought it was freaking adorable, right? You thought it had no, standing here, right? Yeah, well, I said, first of all, that's a claim. And you filed a criminal complaint against these people? Yeah, well, the claim always trumps a complaint, okay? Let me just put it that way. But I said, what you could have done to stop me is you could have said to the judge, this court cannot hear this claim at this time because we have not had 21 days to provide an answer to Karl's court. Well, it was the man court, the family of man. It was M-A-N-N. Their name just happened to be M-A-A-N or M-A-N-N. I said, you could have put in, they gave the court notice that you didn't have adequate time to prepare an answer to this claim. And you could have stayed the proceeding for at least 21 days, and we would have had to come back out here and do it again. But you saw my claim, and you thought it was ridiculous. Well, buddy, I kept asking the court 3 or 4 times during the trial, am I upon the land known as England, as the UK? Is this the United Kingdom? Yes. I'm not in France, right? I don't want to waste this court's time. I want to make sure I'm standing upon a common law nation. This is a common law land. Is it not? This is not code like France, right? And the judge or magistrate would say, there was 2. There was a judge and a magistrate. He'd say, yes, this is a common law land. Good. Because if this is not a common law land, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting this court's valuable resources. I said, so I'm just making sure this is common law still, right? Common law still prevails over England, right? Good. And then we're ready. I'll continue. I'll continue to proceed. So they were like, I was drilling it into their head that this is a common law land, right? This is not a code land, right? This is still a man over here, right? He's not a legal person, right? He's of his own society, right? He's not a member of the bar. You a member of the bar? No, I'm not a member of the bar. Okay. Then the legal society, just like the Boy Scout Society, would have no jurisdiction over a non-Boy Scout. The legal society would have no jurisdiction over a non-legal entity. Is that not true? It's true. It's that simple. But you have to have a claim before the court explaining that you are a man. And if there's a man over there who acts as a Crown prosecutor, who's bringing a complaint that you have done something illegal. I'm not saying I haven't done it illegal. Of course what I do is illegal. I'm sure I did 3,817 things illegal today on the way to the courthouse. I'm not a legal person. You can't hold me liable. Just like the Boy Scouts, I'm not a member of the Boy Scout Society. I'm sure if I opened up the Boy Scout handbook, I did 3,872 things that would require the Boy Scouts to give me demerit badges or take merit badges away from me. The only problem is I don't give a damn what the Boy Scouts leaders rule or determine that I acted inappropriately according to some Boy Scout code because I'm not a freaking Boy Scout. I'm not a legal person. I'm not a Boy Scout person. I'm not a member in good standings. I haven't paid my Boy Scout dues in 35 years. I haven't paid my legal dues in 51 years. I've never been a legal person. This has been a total utter waste of time bringing a non-legal person into a legal proceeding.
Why don't you explain to people why there's so much confusion out there about why a lot of people seem to think that the common law is simply hundreds of years of case law in the courts, and that's exactly what acts and statutes are. So everybody seems to think the common law is just case law.
Okay, well, like I said again, how about Eskimos? They have a form of law that is common to them. It's not written. It's not built on precedent. It's not based on anything written. They don't have anything to write on. What do they don't have? What do they write it on? Snowballs? They pee in the snow? I mean, how do they record what happens throughout their history? But they're very lawful people. They don't steal from each other. They don't rob. They don't rape each other. They don't plunder each other's igloos. But they're a very lawful people. They're very law-abiding people. Nothing's written down. That's what common law is, unwritten. You know when you're doing something right. You know when you're doing something wrong. That's common law. So all this ridiculous stuff is called English common law. It's English common law. The law of the Law Society of England, they would write it down. They'd say, look, this is how we record what happened 50 years ago, 500 years ago. And they'd say, you know what? We never ran into a situation like this. Let's look up in the book and let's see what, King George did 500 years ago or King Louis did. Let's take a look. Oh, wow, this is how he ruled. Cool. Okay, well, we're going to rule this way too. Yeah, that's how their courts roll. That's how the king's courts roll. That's how the queen's court rolls. Yeah, great. That's what the king of England could be 8 years old. What is he going to base his ruling on? He has 8 years of experience on planet Earth. What is he going to rule it on? They're going to say to the king, you're 8 years old. Where did you get that from? Well, my ministers, the people who helped me, they said this is the way Dad ruled, 50 years ago. Oh, okay. Because it sounded awfully silly, an 8-year-old saying it. This is the word of the king. You're 8 years old. Where are you getting this stuff from? Well, it's been recorded, and, this is English common law, and this is the way my daddy did it. His daddy's daddy did it. Oh, okay. Great. So before King's Bench, Queen's Bench, yeah, that's how we roll, based on what happened in the past. And I'm just sticking with what worked. So you people don't behead me and thinking I'm going off the range and just some crazy king. He's like, no, man, this is the way we've been doing things for hundreds of years. No, don't kill me. This is the way we've been doing things, and everybody's just been fine with it. That's English common law. So like I said, everybody's like,
so then people should be aware of the fact that when they're going to claim common law, that they should be expressing exactly what they mean by common law and define.
They don't have, right. They like I said, you just say, like I said, this is a land. Because like I said, the judge knows the word land and man is the same word. The land and man is one. Like I said, the judge understands that you come from the land. And then when people, unfortunately, even you said it at times, saying get rid of your birth certificate. I said, no, that's your anchor to the land. That's proof. I can't go to Canada and buy Canadian land. I hope I can't. I hope you people stop me, because that means the Chinese could come in with $1 trillion and basically buy Canada. I hope only people with birth certificates that could prove that they are of that land, that their mom and dad ate of that land and produced them from what they got from that land, the natural resources. Because if you don't believe you're from the land, when you drop dead and die in 3 seconds and you hit the ground, guess what? You're part of the land again. If you don't believe you're from the land, when you die, you're going to hit that ground and you're going to be absorbed by the land and you're going to go right back where you came from. So if you don't think you're the land, yeah, right. You think you possess godlike qualities, you're sovereign? Yeah, right. You're the land. You're the clay. You're the salt of the earth.
From the dirt we came, and from the dirt we will return.
You will. So this is what I try to tell people. The judges all understand this basic, simple concept. So a birth certificate, so when people say, destroy your birth certificate, you understand that this is because banks can't own land. Financial institutions cannot own land in Canada. Because when I was up in Quebec, and I asked at a seminar thing, I said, is there any real estate agents up here in France? And, some lady interpreted for me. And they said, 2 people picked up their hand. Can a bank loan money for land? And they said, no. I said, good, because they can't do it in England. They can't do it in Australia. They can't do it in the United States. I was just wondering, can they do it in Quebec? They said, absolutely not. The banks can't own people. They can't own land. That's why you have a deed and you have a mortgage. One is a second dimension legal fiction, and one is the third dimension that pertains to man. And the bankers can't cross over into the land of man. They can't. They can't come over here. They can't own us. They can't occupy us. They can't. They can't control us. They can't. They can control everything in writing. So when they establish this birth certificate and they're saying, well, this man's Canadian. Well, honestly, I'm just a man, but I happen to stand upon Canadian or Soviet Union soil. Yeah, great, fine. Great, that establishes my claim to this land. But if you get rid of all your birth certificates and nobody has birth certificates, it's like, Well, how are you going to prove that you're a Canadian? How are you going to prove that you're of that land? So it secures and protects your ability to purchase land in Canada that the banks can't do. So if you get rid of your birth certificate, you just become just like a bank. You can't own land because they're like, well, how do we know you're of this land? How is there any proof? I hope I can't just walk up to Canada and buy as much land as I want. I hope you people stop me and say, where's your birth certificate? Where's proof that you are of this land? It's like, I don't got it. I mean, just like somebody in China asked me, can I put my name on a deed for land in Washington State because the United States government won't let us put up wind turbines. So can you help us get wind turbines established in Puget Sound in Washington? I said, you don't need me. You need any United States citizen. Just pay any United States citizen $100,000, $10,000. They'll be more than willing to put his name on a deed for you. He said they'll give it to the English. They'll let the Belgians come here and put up wind turbines, but they won't let the Chinese. I said, oh, you can't get wind turbines? Just be a U.S. citizen. Just find a U.S. citizen, pay him a couple of dollars, tell him to put his name on a deed, and there you go. The United States government can't interfere with the man, the contract. So they'll grant it to the United States citizen. But, yeah, they won't grant it to a Chinese citizen, and I don't blame them. They shouldn't. Because you guys buy up every damn square inch.
Already wants to go on for days and days and days, but I got a better question. Because one of the things I've been told recently is that you've been helping a lot of people with getting proper claims in before a court that they've been the courts that they've been convening. That's one of the things I was kind of interested in hearing about. We've had a lot of difficulty with that over the years.
Okay, the biggest thing is they will try to impede your ability to access a public court. The biggest thing that you folks have to do is explain to them, ask them a simple question, because they did that to Jesse and Jonathan out there in Canada. They were trying to put a claim into the court, and they weren't following the Canadian legal forms. And I wrote a hell of a letter, and Jonathan's got it, and that was a great. Well, I was a little pissed that that these people. That I was like, man, don't make me come up in Canada and do this for you. This is so simple, people. Don't make me come up there. So Jonathan and Jesse, what I wrote for them was something so simple. The building manager to the steward of the public courthouse: is this not a public courthouse? Yes or no? If this is a public courthouse, who has right to access this courthouse? The public. Am I not considered one of the public? Yes. I would like to occupy that courtroom on a certain specific day at a certain time. Is there a problem with me occupying a courtroom on a certain day at a certain time? Is the docket totally full? When is the docket available for me to occupy that courtroom to bring my court into the public? When can I do that? So like I said, once you start explaining exactly that this is how you assemble your courtiers, this is how you create the court, this is how you move the court, this is how you summons others to appear, this is how you make a claim of wrong, this is how you make an order. Once they see that you have like all 20 steps under your belt, they're going to realize you know what the hell you're doing. And if you want to move your court into this building, not a problem. But if you don't have the ability to actually move a court, why are we going to waste our time with your silly gibberish? Why are we going to waste our time when you don't have to convene a court? When you don't, like a king or a queen. It's like if you watch the Prince and the Pauper. If you're, that old, who wrote that book, man? It's the Oliver Twist guy wrote it. Okay, The Prince and the Pauper. When the prince stepped down because he wanted to just go out in the public and act like a man at large, he found a carbon copy of him from the public, and he put him in the position of that of king. When the king, the alleged king, the fake king, tried to assemble a court, everybody realized that this guy was a total knucklehead. He had no clue how to move a court. He had no clue what the hell he was doing. And everybody was starting to panic that the king, lost his mind. There was something wrong with the king, because the king, since childbirth, has learned how to act in a certain manner and how to act a certain way. And like I said, I was very fortunate. I had a mom who worked for the IRS for over 30 years, and I had a dad who was very street smart, who couldn't read or write English. He was German. So he taught me practical, and my mom taught me book. So when they let me out into the public at large at 18, 19 years old, I knew how to handle myself in the public. I knew how to handle myself in the courtroom situation, because my dad, he spent many years in reform school, and he was arrested all the time. So he explained to me how to handle yourself in court. So most dads taught you how to throw a baseball or football. My dad taught me, well, when you go before a judge, you better, when you say something, you better stick to your story. Don't change one word. Don't add one word. Just keep saying the same damn thing and just say, over and over and over and over the same damn thing. As soon as you change one word, he's going to take away everything you hoped for, worked for, dreamed of your whole life. You're going to go into such a deep, dark place you ain't never coming out. He said, when you give the judge your word, you say one thing and don't you deviate. Don't you take one word away. Don't you add one word. You stick to your story until the day you die. So that's what I was drilled in, not how to catch a football, not how to hit a baseball. So I got very lucky. So like I said, this Prince and the Pauper story, is they could see that this rogue from the community, just an average man trying to hold court, had no clue what he was doing. So you're wasting the court's valuable resources and limited time and valuable resources. They have limited resources. You can't just, could you imagine every moron coming in there trying to convene a court? Every person who said, well, he bent the blade of grass, and I want to sue him because he bent the blade of grass, and I want to occupy this courtroom, and I want to sue him for $1 million because my feelings were hurt because his door bent the blade of grass. You've got to have clerks in there that says, oh, no. We have very limited time.
Well, if you
we have
doing that,
limited
they call you Her
resources.
Majesty the Queen.
What's that?
If you kept doing that, they'd call you Her Majesty the Queen.
Okay, like I said, what I'm saying is, it's Her Majesty the Queen. It's a fictional title. It doesn't exist. There is no Her Majesty the Queen. If you're talking about Elizabeth Windsor, Elizabeth Mary Windsor, who was born in 1923, she's a woman, and if she's suing me, it would be Elizabeth Windsor versus Karl Lentz. She wouldn't be using a title. Because to use a title, she would be diminishing her capacity to move a court as a man against another man. Man on man is superior. Man is in the image of God. Okay? King and queen is under that title of that of a man. They are underneath man. Now, if you're talking about subjects and servants, well, they're under the king and the queen. But man is above king and queen. King and queen has duties, responsibilities, and obligations. A man does not. A man cannot be controlled and limited in his capacity to move or not wish to move. He can't be, there's no rigid structure to tell a man what he can and cannot do. There is guidelines on what a king or queen can and cannot do. They are bound by certain rules. A man is unlimited in his capacity to act or not do as he wishes. You can't force a man to perform, but you can compel the king or queen to perform, or you could have them abdicated from the throne. You can have them removed. You can't have me removed as being a man.
There's also guidelines on what a king. There's also guidelines on what a king and queen must do, not just what they can and can't do. They've made promises. That's why they're a king or a queen.
Right. They sit on a rock or something under a throne or whatever they do. They swear to do all this stuff. I don't swear to do any damn thing, and I'm not obligated to any man. I'll come and go as I please. But a king or queen, they take an oath and obligation. They swear that they'll do this. They swear they'll do that. They'll swear they won't do this. They'll swear they won't do that. I'm not swearing any damn thing. I'll do as I wish, as I need to exist. It's survival. I'll do what I deem is necessary and proper for my self-survival. I'm never going to bound myself to some ridiculous rules or obligation which might actually cause harm or burden upon me and which I can't carry. I'm not going to promise you anything. So see, that's what I'm saying. A man is so superior. It's like I said, a man is in the image of God. It's that simple. And when you hear one man speak and another man speak, that is the proof that God does exist. Because you're speaking to me. Obviously, you're in the image of God, and I'm in the image of God. And obviously, that proves that I'm not here and I'm not alone. So we have a duty and obligation to not cause harm to our fellow man. That's it. That's the only thing I'm obligated to, not cause harm and injury to my fellow man. And as long as I don't cause any harm to my fellow man, I'm not obligated to any legal.
With their claims.
People
have gone in Canada here that have gone into the courthouse with their claims. Have they been able to actually convene courts and get courtrooms booked and actually get some process going on people?
Well, the two people that worked was Jesse and Jonathan, who got her claim into the court. The judge reluctantly took it in. And that was fantastic because their trial was either Monday or Tuesday to get their 4 children back, and the judge took it in on Friday. They refused to take it on Thursday. We wrote a hell of a note. They went and actually met the judge on Friday, and he told the court clerks to accept their claim. And then the other one was when I was in the city of London, in England, and we had to go into the Royal Courts of Justice. And the man I went to help, the three people I went to help, he left his claim out in the car, and it was 4:30, and they closed up the courthouse for the night. And they said, we're not open for business until 10 o'clock. And I said, yeah, really, sure, who cares? So we went out to the car, we walked around London a little bit, came back at 8 o'clock, knocked on the great big huge door, and we said to them, we're here, we have court business, and we need to access the court. And they said, it's 8 o'clock at night, sorry, come back at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's like, is this not the Queen's Court? Yes. Is she not, obligated to serve the people? Yes. Okay. Do you realize I'm one of the people? Yes. Do you understand this is my court as well, and I need to access it? So it was funny. I just pushed the guy through the door that was opened a little bit, and we got in. And it was funny. They said, we're going to call the head of security. I said, please do, because I need to convene court now. I need a courtroom, and I need a magistrate, and I need to convene court now. Court is open 24/7, 365. I need to access the court now. So it's funny. The head security guard came down, and I asked him, he said, what do you need? I said, I need a magistrate to be present immediately. I have business with the court. And so he said, okay, come with me. So when they took us into the head security room, if you go on my website, you go to documents, I took a picture of the notice on the security guard's booth. It said out of hours filing. It's like out, O-U-T, of hours. Out of hours. When you want to access a courtroom out of hours, this is the rules. So I actually took a photo of it, and like the second paragraph is what we were doing. When a man needs to come forward and or have the court open, the court is to summons a magistrate to appear immediately to have access to the court. So I said, there you go.
They're doing everything they can, everything in their power to hide that kind of stuff from us, aren't they?
Because they just don't want. They just don't want. Can you imagine? Can you listen to talk shows? You've heard a whole bunch of whiny people whining about this and that, basically trivial stuff. And it's like, do you really think they want every moron that wants to whine and complain and grumble and gripe about something to have free range and access to the court? No. You want to say, look, we have very limited time here. We have very limited resources.
I don't even want people having my email address, Carl. So yes, I can understand why the courts wouldn't want that.
Right. They say, look, get people in here who know what the hell they're doing. If this guy wants to be a man, if he thinks he's a man, he'll know how to act like a man. His mommy and daddy would have taught him. He knows how to walk in here. He knows how to stand up and make a claim. He knows how to just look around. I say he knows the law of the land. He knows how to say, hey, is there any man who's going to make a claim I've done wrong? Bottom line, I'm here to settle any debt with any man I've done wrong. You don't go in there and you don't say,
how about we switch gears here? I got a different question for you.
Well, just wait a second. You don't want to go into court and say, I object to these proceedings in their entirety. You don't do that, which you do quite often. You don't go in there and say, I object to. Look, you were invited to their tap dancing party. You hate watching tap dancing. You know what? You were summoned. You were invited to appear. You can't jump up and say, now, I hate tap dancing, and I object to anybody who ever tap dances ever. I hate this stuff. I object to it. Internet party. Dude, you're a guest here. You're invited here. If you got a problem with tap, you sit there respectfully and you tolerate a tap. Now, this court will hear your claim, and we will respect your claim, and we'll sit here and we'll be polite to you, and we won't object to you doing the two-step shuffle. We will watch your act. You can perform for us now. But while their proceedings are going on, you don't object to what they're doing. You let them believe and act any way they wish. You don't limit their capacity, just as you would not wish them to limit your capacity. If you don't want to watch that tap dancing stuff, God bless you. Turn your head and look the other way, and you don't ever take notice that they're even putting on a tap performance. You don't interact. You don't let them control you by you huffing or you puffing or you whining or you rolling your eyes or you're blinking. Nothing. When that man in England, I forewarned these people from India. I forewarned them. I said, if these people, when they're performing that act, when the crown is performing, you're going to sit there and you're going to look away, You're not going to make a sound. You're not going to object. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to let them show that they have control of you. You're not going to show, because control is jurisdiction. Anything that's going on over there is an illusion. It doesn't exist. They're performing whatever ridiculous act they're performing. Let them do as they wish. I said, I better not see one of you go to say, I object, make a noise, blink your eyes, huff or puff. I said, I'll let you out. And the one guy, the Crown started ripping onto these people from India, because one was Hindi, and he was the prosecutor, was Hindi, and the other Indians were Punjabi, and they hate each other. So the Indian prosecutor realized we weren't blinking. We weren't moving. He wasn't getting jurisdiction over us. He wasn't getting a reaction out of it. We were sitting like stone soldiers. We weren't moving until it was our turn to take over that courtroom. We weren't doing anything. So he started making fun of Sikh people, saying that they were animals, they're the scourge of India, they've been animals for centuries. And this guy next to me started to, move. Like he wanted to start being combative. He wanted to argue. He wanted to say something about what this man was saying about him and his people. As soon as he turned his head just a little bit, I hit him so fucking hard. And then his brother stood up, and I threw his brother down. And the judge said, do we have a problem over there? I said, no, sir. We have this under control. He said, can we proceed? Absolutely. Because these guys almost brought, the second dimension, the Crown side, to life into their world. And I said, look, that is an illusion. Do not watch. Do not react. Don't interact. Don't intercourse with them. Don't join them. They're going to get joined. As soon as you object, as soon as you make a sound, as soon as you make a peep during their proceedings, they're having an impact on you. And you're showing them that they control you. They're pulling the strings like a puppet, like a marionette. They're pulling you. And they're making you jump up and down. We got them. Because if they were speaking Chinese, you wouldn't object. If they were speaking Japanese, you wouldn't object. But they're speaking legalese, and for some reason you think you know legalese. For some reason you think as soon as you think and you answer competently in a legal manner, they understand that you're competent, that you're not an idiot, that you are a legal person. Because how would a non-Chinese person answer that Chinese question? How would a non-Japanese person answer that Japanese question? How did you answer that legal question without being competent, without being under their control, without being a legal person? You proved by objecting that you understood legalese, and you are a legal person. And that's what gets you all the time. I read your transcripts all the time. I feel so bad for you. I was like, oh, my God. When a legal person says something to you, you should say apple, oranges, unicorns. It's like, what? Yeah, I know. Are you speaking legalese, or are you talking to me as a man? We're speaking to you, this is a legal matter. I don't speak legalese, Chinese, Cantonese. So if this is a legal term of art, I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer because I don't speak legalese. Talk to me man to man, and we're good to go. You're evoking one God calling out to another God. You're evoking the right of man to call out to his fellow man for aid and comfort. You're calling out to your fellow man as a good Samaritan. We live in a Judeo-Christian culture. When you call out, you have to aid and assist your fellow man. Just like Jewish people, they can charge a usury fee on each other. They could get to the Canaanites or anybody else on planet Earth, but if a Jewish person says to another Jewish person, how much did that sofa cost you? And he has to say $603.12, for the storage, for the transport. That's how much he has to sell to a fellow Jew. He can't charge him anymore. But to anybody who's not of their society, he could charge $1 million for that sofa, and they all sit around and laugh about it, how they got over a non-Jew. It's a very societal, structured organization, this legal society. They are very honorable people. They are honor-bound. Without them showing honor, they know their whole society, their whole game is going to collapse. So when you could point it out that you know the rules, that you could see, that's an old man pulling the curtain, he's the Wizard of Oz, you realize he's just an old man. He's got no power, no control over you. It's no more, and his thunderbolts and crap and lightning no longer scares you. Then he realized, I got a man standing in front of me. He sees right through this bullshit. And like I said, I read it in the Winnipeg News the other day. It says, Dean Clifford says, I object to these proceedings in their entirety. I say, oh, Jesus, what proceedings, buddy? There's nothing going on. What do you think you see? There's nothing here. Oh, a legal proceeding? Like, you have any concept of what a legal proceeding is? You have any idea what equity is? Really? Isn't those legal terms?
Yeah,
I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue about any of that.
They also claimed They also said I claimed to be a free man on the land, and that I continually disrupted the court and had to be told by the judge to shut up a number of times, and none of that happened.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, did you say that you object to these proceedings in their entirety?
Yeah, that was my answer to the arraignment. I was really pissed off that day. So
what I'm saying is right. What I'm trying to say is,
proceedings.
I don't object to anything. If this is what the Boy Scouts do, God bless you guys. If this is what the Legal Society does, if this is what the Boy Scout Society does, God bless you. But you realize I'm not a Boy Scout. You realize I'm an idiot. You realize you can't prosecute an idiot. You realize you can't prosecute somebody out of your society. You do know the rules, right? Everybody knows around the planet Earth you can't prosecute an idiot. Okay, am I incompetent? You better believe I'm incompetent. I'm not competent in Chinese, legalese, Japanese. I'm not competent. I'm an idiot. I have and there's no law that requires me to understand Chinese terms, Japanese terms, legal terms. Is this a legal proceeding? Is this a Japanese proceeding? Is this a Chinese proceeding? I'm not freaking Chinese. I'm not legalese. I'm not a legal person. You got the wrong fucking guy. I'm sure there's a Dean Clifford somewhere here in Canada who's more than glad to claim he's a legal person. But it ain't me. Sorry. It's that simple.
Oh, you can say that all you want, or you can bark like a dog for 10 minutes. They're still going to enter a plea of not guilty for you.
That's fine. Whatever plea that they, as long as it causes no harm to either man, you could accruable financial loss. I'm going to hold you personally liable. So whoever wishes to place a burden, whoever wishes to place a burden upon me, place a charge upon me, is going to bear the liability of that.
Karl, you're cutting out.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, well, like I said, what was the last part you heard me say? Whoever's placing a burden, if somebody's placing a title, like I cannot accept the title at this time as you placing the title of the defendant upon my person, you're going to cause an undue burden upon me. So if you want to place a title upon me and you wish me to perform a duty and an obligation, if you wish of me to be the defendant, I'm going to require fair and just compensation. You could summons me to appear, just like when the Queen gives a royal command performance. You've heard of them all the time. Paul McCartney is summons to the Queen's Court to give a royal performance. He gets compensated. So if you wish me to perform as a defendant in your little act here, your little act of parliament, whatever, 1937, or whatever the hell you're moving me under, I'm going to require fair and just compensation. Judge, you're getting paid. Prosecutor's getting paid to be here. Clerk's getting paid to be here. You wish me to take on the role of defendant, I'll be more than glad. But you'll give me fair and just compensation.
That sounds like me 5 years ago. I don't know what more anybody wants to go over tonight. I got friggin' court tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. So.
Oh my gosh.
Hang on here.
Hey, Dean, before you leave, can you just tell them about the pathetic thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I actually really liked that notice, idiot, when I got sent it, and the definition there on etymology of idiot and being a layman and a private person as opposed to one conducting public affairs and stuff like that. And I was like, well, yeah, that's fantastic. I got no problem doing that. So that's exactly what I did the next day. I figured, well, piss on this. I've done everything else. I got no problem trying this stuff because I kind of agree with this. It's a simplified version of everything that we normally do. So I threw that into the court, and first thing in the morning there, I think on Wednesday morning, must have been Wednesday morning, and the judge read that onto the record, the notice, and made a joke about, I hope you don't want me to refer to you as idiot from now on, kind of thing, and everybody chuckled a bit, and I just kind of kept a straight face, like, whatever, and every time it came around to ask me if I wanted to cross-examine any of the witnesses, I just wrote down a piece of paper. I have no idea what's going on here. I'm confused. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't know what anybody is talking about. I would just pass that up to the
Well,
judge.
see, what's funny is you said it earlier. You said it earlier. You said say the same thing 3 times. You don't ad lib. You just keep saying I'm an idiot, and you put the definition of the word idiot. Like I always do that if I'm summoned to appear and I know what's going to happen. Obviously, I'm putting a notice into the court immediately that you are summoned saying I, Karl Lentz, I, Dean Clifford, and I am an idiot in legalese, Japanese, Cantonese. I'm an idiot in Boy Scout Society rules. I'm an idiot in legal rules.
Yep.
And there's no law that requires me to be competent. You can't prosecute the incompetent. They know it.
Yeah. Well, it's just every time they even tried speaking to me, I just wrote a quick little note that said a blurb like that. Said, forgive me, I'm an idiot. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't understand a thing anybody's saying. And after about the 4th time,
what I'm saying is,
he finally got pissed off.
They finally did what?
He finally got pissed off, and he decided that was a good time to stop the proceedings to kind of give me shit and tell me he didn't appreciate my change in tactics, and he frankly found it pathetic. He was trying to get a rise out of me because he knows every judge in that court building knows they can get a rise out of me and they can get me fighting and arguing. All they got to do is do something like that, and I just kind of didn't even change facial expressions, didn't answer him, didn't do anything, just kept looking straight ahead like nothing was going on, even though he said he was calling me pathetic and a bunch of other stuff, and I better take this seriously, and this change in tactics is not going to work, and I'm pathetic, and yeah, you name it. He got into it.
So what happened today with the bowing?
Oh man, there was more talks like that, but I hand wrote 6 more notices to the court there while they were questioning 2 people in the morning, because I don't even listen when they're questioning people because it's got nothing to do with me and I don't understand it anyway, so I really don't give a shit what they're saying or talking about anymore. I'm not going to cross-examine because I don't understand what's going on, but they had a specialist on at one point, a fingerprint specialist who was talking about all sorts of stuff that I'd never heard before, and he asked me if I wanted to cross-examine, and I wrote a note that said, forgive me, I'm an idiot. I have absolutely no idea what this woman is talking about. She could be talking about building a space shuttle for all I know. And he got really mad about that one. Maybe a little bit disrespectful, but I really didn't care. So then this morning, same thing. They were questioning more people that I didn't give a shit about. So I hand wrote 6 notices that I handed in all at the same time. And it was after the Crown rested their case, and it was time for my defense. I just handed them in 6 notices, and one of them was a claim common law. And he read all my notices onto the record, including the common law one. And all I said was, I, a man, evoke common law. I said, not the English capital E, capital C, common, capital L law, but the lowercase c, lowercase l, but the common law derived from the Word of God, capital W, capital G. And that's it. Sign that, put that in as well. And right after he read that, he didn't really say a whole lot. Nobody said anything after they read all 6 of those notices on the record and entered them in as exhibits. But about 5 minutes after that, he recessed until the afternoon, got up, and I didn't even see this because I was busy doing paperwork. But when we left the courtroom, my friend said to me, "Did you see what just happened there?" I'm like, "No, what?" He goes, "Dude, when he got up to go leave the room, he stopped, turned, stared right at you, bowed, and then turned around and walked out of the room." And I said, "Bullshit." He's like, "No, for real, man." I'm like, holy fuck, okay, well, that's interesting. So we went for lunch, went back at 1:30 in the afternoon for what was supposed to be closing arguments. And when he came into the courtroom, he did the exact same thing again. He came walking in, and I was kind of standing in the back gallery because I don't stand when the judge is walking in. I just kind of mull around like I'm just minding my own business. And he walked in, and he turned to me and bowed again before he sat down at the bench. So I thought that was interesting. Then he tried to reestablish jurisdiction over me to see if I was going to abandon my common law claim and try to get me arguing. And he spent, after the Crown finished with their closing arguments today, and spent a half an hour doing it and really stammering. And there was a lot of interesting things that happened today with their closing arguments. I think they were trying to get me to offer up some form of excuse or rip their case apart, because when they rested their case, and I noticed they left a lot of stuff out and made a lot of incorrect statements about what had happened over the last 3 days and evidence that they had brought in. The justice there, he spent the next 15 minutes trying to entice me into entering an argument of some kind, or to offer up an excuse of some kind that would explain what explain away the charges. At one point, he actually even said to me, he goes, just Mr. Clifford, I highly recommend you enter an argument of some kind. He goes, look, how did he phrase it? Hang on. Basically, he was along the lines of just amuse me, just free of liability, just argue, just give me an excuse of some kind, like tempting me just to try to say something to acknowledge his authority and to get me to ask him, or to make up excuses to him, like I need to explain my actions to him in some way so that he can make some kind of a decision. And the whole time he was enticing me.
No, that was good. That was what you said, Dean. I liked what you said earlier. Sorry about my phone died. You said the judge actually said to you, when you're going on about being an idiot, he didn't like your change in tactics. Explain. Sorry, I lost the phone. But what happened? Because that's great. Because he's witnessing that you're moving in another direction. So what did he say about your change in tactics? What did he say?
Oh, he said that he found them frankly pathetic.
Okay, because like I said, when we went out to lunch, when we broke for lunch in this trial in England, I said to the Punjabi interpreter, I said, when this judge comes back, and when he comes back with the ruling, if you hear the word idiot, or like pathetic, or you hear any of this stuff, just smile, because you're going home. Because he's trying to bait you. He's trying to get you to, fall. He's trying to, it hurt your feelings. Like, if you're a man, you don't have fucking feelings. I don't give a shit what any woman says. A real man has no feelings. He doesn't care. He's just going into battle, and he's going in to win. He's all in. I don't give a shit about my feelings. You call me any damn name you want. We got to fight, buddy. This is to the death. You're going to put me in a cage. You're going to lock me in a box for 16 months or 16 years. This ain't a joke. You call me any damn thing you want, but I'm a man. You call me pathetic. You call me any damn thing you want, but we're going down. And then when you take it like a man. You can call you any freaking name in the book. You're going to see if you can take it like a man.
When the judge,
he said this is pathetic. And what else did he say? Other than it's pathetic, what else did he say?
Yeah, and then he told me I better start taking this seriously, and this new approach is not going to work, and just I better start thinking seriously about this, and I better get a lawyer, I better get representation, all that kind of stuff. But essentially, I knew immediately he was trying to get a rise out of me by saying that was pathetic, because normally I have a bit of an ego and I have to argue with these guys, and nope.
Oh yeah,
I just
I've seen the transcripts.
Just going to stare straight ahead. I'm not going to fall for any of this. He can say whatever he wants. He's not going to get a rise out of me. I'm not even going to change expressions. I'm just going to keep looking where I'm looking with a bit of a vapid look on my face, like I really have no clue what's going on in the courtroom. And that carried through till today as well. And I realized that he was trying to egg me on and get me to, just like the devil there with the 3 temptations of Christ there. Oh, come on, just argue a little bit. Just offer up an explanation to me. Acknowledge my authority. Explain to me why you did what you did. And maybe
because
my judgment tomorrow.
Because for years you were. See, that's the problem. For years you were. For years you were answering and back in beautiful legal documents. I mean, you were doing this wonderful legalese. And I remember when you said to your brother on the phone, because I met your brother when I was out there in the Hamilton area, and when you were talking to your brother, you said, like, Karl Lentz's stuff is like the 1% that we need. Like 99% of this legal stuff we got covered. But maybe that Karl's common law man stuff, maybe that 1% that'll show us over the edge. No, it's the opposite. You go 99%, you're presenting yourself as a man you're presenting yourself as a man. You are the freaking man. You are the man. You own this place. Everybody else is a servant.
A man doesn't need to explain himself to a judge. I don't need to explain myself. So when he kept saying, just explain, what happened, or just argue this.
And all you could have said to him is like, look, I'll be more of it. Okay, like I said, if somebody said to me in court, like a prosecutor or a judge said to me, just explain yourself. You wish for me to explain myself, sir, correct? Yes. Then we are talking man to man, correct? Because you're not a judge, I'm not a defendant. we're talking. Well, you're a man and I'm a man. We're talking man to man now, right? Because see, you're pushing it out of the legal land, because there is no definition of man in the legal world, and you can look in the legal dictionary, and all of man is an adult animal.
He started doing that 2 months ago, just before I got bail, actually 3 months ago. At the hearings we were having, he started saying stuff like that to me after I'd filed my first couple of notices about being a man only and whatnot. I mean, I've been doing this for 3-4 months now. And he started saying, well, so Mr. Clifford, man to man, and he would have a little conversation with me. And the first couple of times he did that, I was like, did he just say man to man? Because I've never heard a judge say that before.
Yeah, but he called you Mr. Clifford first.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if he calls you Pinocchio. We're talking man to man.
Yeah. You know how many times I tried to tell them, I said, don't call me anymore. That's not my name. I wish to not be addressed as Mr. Clifford, and they just said, well, I'm just going to do it anyways.
Okay, well, like you said, what you would say to them is Mr. Clifford is the name that my mom gave me. Now, if we're here to talk man to man, you could call it Mr. Clifford. If this is a legal proceeding and you're looking for the legal person with the legal name of Dean Clifford, that legal person is not I. I'm not a legal person. Because like I said, one of the first things I tell people when they go into court, when the judge calls your name out, and you go, did somebody just call my name? What's your name? My name is, what name did you call out? Karl Lentz. Are you talking about my legal name or the name my mom gave me? Well, your legal name. Well, I don't have a legal name. This is a legal proceeding, correct? Yes. Well, I don't proceed in legalese because I have no legal person. I am not a legal man. I am simply a man. I have a given name that my mom gave me, and, it's Karl Lentz. I am not going to give it to you without fair and just compensation. If you wish to have my name, if you wish to use my name, you could give me fair and just compensation.
Yeah, well,
because you have a legal name. You have a legal name. Right? They can only move. They can only.
One at a time.
I had a hearing years ago where I walked in. They called the matter. I said, I'm here for that matter. They said, who are you? I said, I'm the man that was arrested that day. They said, are you Dean Clifford? I said, do you want the legal person or the man? And they said, we want Dean Clifford. I said, I'm the man that got arrested that day. They said, well, we want Dean Clifford. Are you Dean Clifford? I said, are you asking for the legal person or the man? They said, we want Dean Clifford. And this went on for about 15 minutes before they finally said, all right, if you're not Dean Clifford, we're just going to issue a bench warrant for his arrest. And that's it. And I left. And
the other thing about that is I wish you knew. Yeah, back then I wish that you knew that when they called you years ago. I wish that you. Okay, years ago when they called you out and they were looking for Dean Clifford, I wish that you knew how to say to them, you're calling out for Dean Clifford. You're calling out for the man. You would have said to them, Dean Clifford is the man whose claim is before this court that another man who acted as an officer committed a trespass upon I. So when they were calling you to appear, like I said to the 2 or 3 people who got on before you, I said, what was the number one thing that you guys did correct? As soon as you were arrested, as soon as you were let out, you guys automatically went out and started to tell, especially if an officer arrested you, pulled you out of your vehicle and put you under arrest. You were not under arrest. You were trespassed upon. So instead of saying, I was arrested that night, you say, I was trespassed upon by that man, and do not have my claim before the court. Because while you're addressing this legal matter, I wish to also address the trespass matter against that man. That he stole my property, he trespassed upon me, and I made a claim against that man who was acting as an RCMP. So instead of that way, you're prosecuting them. At the same time, they're trying to complain about you. They're trying to prosecute you, you're prosecuting them. You basically are canceling each other out. You're saying that I might have done something illegal, and he arrested the legal person on the Dean Clifford. That's fine. The only problem is I was a man, and he trespassed upon the man. And even though he's wearing a funny badge and a star, he knows there's no affidavit on file that I've done anything wrong to anybody. He knows that I've done no wrong. But yet, he still trespassed upon I and my property. And I seek compensation for the trespass. That's how you should have answered them. Not keep saying, I'm not Dean, I'm not Dean, I'm not Dean. Oh, yes, I am Dean. I'm Dean, that man on that claim in front of this court that said that there's a trespass that happened that Saturday night. Was I arrested? No, I was trespassed upon. That man did me wrong. He knows that I'm a man, he's a man. He has no right to tell another man what he can and cannot do with his property unless I'm doing something wrong. I have done no wrong. Or he broke this code. I don't speak legalese. I'm not a legal person. How many times have I tell you people that? I don't understand your code. And there's no law that requires me to understand your code and submit to your jurisdiction and authority. Show me the law where it says I must submit to the code. Show me. And I will submit. But until that day arrives, it ain't going to happen, not as long as this is a common law land. If it's a code land like France, oh, yeah, it says you will submit. But this ain't a code land, so I don't have to submit. Hallelujah.
Okay, we're going to move. Yeah, we're here. We've got a whole bunch of people.
I hope that helped, Dean. I hope that helped, Dean. I hope it helps a lot of people because you have to be proactive. If you were arrested on Saturday, where the hell was your claim on Monday? You didn't have one. So they can't hear you. Only their case is moving through the court. Their suitcase is being opened. Their suit is being tried on. Their suit is being determined if it has merits. Where's your damn case being opened? At the same damn time, their case is being opened. And now, see, they got a little wimpy complaint. Oh, they're complaining again. Oh, where's your claim? Only a man can make a claim. The government can only make complaints because they know they can't swear that anything is true because that would be a claim. They can only complain. Well, you know, then complaining. Yeah, they're not making a claim. Only man can make a claim. The government can't make a claim. They make criminal complaints. I guarantee in Canada, there's a criminal complaint you're facing, not a criminal claim. If somebody says to me, well, we're making a complaint, this man did you wrong, hell no, I'm not complaining he did me wrong. I'm making a claim he did me wrong because I saw that clown do it. Now, if I didn't see him steal my wallet, if I didn't see him steal my car, I would complain that he stole my car because I can't prove it's true. I believe he did it, but am I an eyewitness to it? No. I can't testify that it's true because I didn't see it. So I can't make a claim. I can complain about it. I think he took it. I walked out of the room. Next thing I know, my wallet's gone. He must have done it. Well, space aliens could have evaporated it. Who knows? All I could do is complain. I can't make a claim. And that's all the government can do is make a complaint. Because no man has ever going to come forth on that behalf and claim it's true. It's that simple. The prosecutor didn't see you do a damn thing. All you can do is complain.
Can we move on?
I hope that helps you, man. I really do, man. I think it's too smart. It's sometimes too smart, man. It hurts people. You know? You don't seem like a bad guy, man. You know, just...
He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I never really met the guy. You know, I'm just saying. What I've observed.
All right, let's move on, okay?
If he's ready to go, man, I hope him all the best.